Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show. What's up, kids? Back here with you again on Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. If you caught me looking down, yes, I checked to make sure everything was kosher. Hey, look, man, we're honest here. When something happens off mic or off camera, we're going to tell you about it. Unless it, gets us in trouble with, authorities or gets us banned from the internets. We don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. You want to know why? Because you're on episode 7. So are we. We're almost through season 1. I'm so excited I can't stand it. Tom Clark here with you, of course, joined by Jay Luft and Joe Higgens. Guys, we are rolling through season 1 like a freight train out of control. What do you guys think coming into episode 7 here? Joe, what do you think?
This is, I've said it before, and I say it a lot, but this is one of those episodes where things become a lot more apparent as to what's happening. There's a really nice bit in it that we'll get to, but I was like, I forgot this was in it at all. And it's when you listen to the music that's accompanying it as well, you go, oh, this sets everything up. This tells you what's going to happen. And I was like, God damn, this is good.
What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, this one hits a little close to home with me because it's in my hometown. It's as we found out when we were talking before. It's not, but it is. It's meant to be. Turns out they didn't leave London, but yeah, this is a great episode. I think if this feels like a bit of a turning point for a lot of characters. Obviously, there's a lot of pivotal things that happen for, well, Ted in particular, but then obviously Rebecca and Keeley as well.
For sure, yeah. Lots happening here. The evolution of this show, the evolution of these characters is something that's not lost on us. I mean, we see from episode 1, and even if you're only half paying attention, they will pay it off and reward you in the end. They do, with little things happen or peppered in every episode, as we've said here, things that honestly, upon the rewatch here, things that either I had missed or wasn't aware of the first time, and now I completely see. Okay, this happened 2 episodes ago, and we got here because of it. I love that. Continuity, kids. Everybody out there is so frustrated and demand continuity from our shows, our movies, our books, everything. Well, by crackle, they're giving it to you here on Ted Lasso, man. I'm telling you. So lots of stuff to be happy about here. As we said, episode 7. I can't believe it. To you kids out there, we release these episodes as we release them, and to you, they're, well, it's fine. It's episode. Who cares? But to us, it's a labor of love. Trust me. And a lot of working to get there. So we hope you're digging it. Are you guys ready to jump into this?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Jay just drank some fuel, so he's ready to go.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this, kids. We're talking, of course, about episode 7. The title is "Make Rebecca Great Again." We put the R on the screen so we're not, choking Joe out with the title. We don't want to do that. Season 1, episode 7, Make Rebecca Great Again. Original air date September 11th. Yikes. 2020. I'm just saying. Directed by Declan Lowney. Story by Joe Kelley and Brendan Hunt. Teleplay by Jason Sudeikis himself. Yes, 10 episodes in season 1. This is episode 7. When last we left the Ted Lasso gang, we saw a revitalized AFC Richmond club get a new addition in the form of Mexican ace Danny Rojas, who soon falls victim to a curse that has plagued the team for over 100 years. But thanks to Ted's ingenuity, along with a helping hand from Higgens, the team comes together with Jamie in the mix, only to lose him in the end. We open this episode outside the building at the dog track where Nate is instructing Trevor on how to load the team bus for their away game. He takes over and ultimately gets luggage piled on top of him, getting locked in, and he delivers the now classic, "Oh my God." That line from him is it's always, "I'm fearful for my life. What have I just done? What's going to happen to me?" every time.
There's a lot in there, but also this has happened to me again. Like it's
right. So good. Ted's in his office FaceTiming with his son Henry, Joe's favorite character, the brilliant Gus Turner, the little child actor that we can't get enough of. Ted's telling him that the team that they're going to play, Everton, is in Liverpool. Henry's excited and asks Ted if he sees any of the Beals to take a picture. So they get off the call, and Beard says, still haven't told him that John and George are dead. And Ted says, they're what?
Yes, it's another great Ted fake out, isn't it?
Which is great.
I love Beard's little like follow to that though. He goes, yeah, Keith Richards did it.
Oh my God. They're still on the call, by the way. I didn't want to leave that part out with Michelle at the end here.
That Everton line where he's saying, well, it's in Liverpool, but they're called Everton. That's a real thing I've gone through multiple times before.
I think he says it's not a town, it's a team.
So what's the story here? Why is it that way?
Everton is a very, very small part of Liverpool. Essentially, they founded the first football club in Liverpool, and they founded Liverpool Football Club. There's literally a park that separates the two grounds. They're a mile apart. Everton is kind of like more the smaller club, but if you say that to an Evertonian, you'll never hear the end of it. Typical football and rivalry: Liverpool wear red, Everton wear blue. Liverpool kind of went from being the team that were created as like a sort of like offshoot from Everton to eclipsing them in every single way, and now they're like the big team in Everton. They're still in like the top flight of English football, just about. God knows how long that's going to be. But yeah, they're not the big club. When Roy says about how hard a game that is, Everton are one of those teams that you do just dread playing because they're just a difficult side to play against, and the ground's very unpleasant. Yeah. The ground is extremely unpleasant.
Oh wow!
It's like a shed.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have clarification because I was like, Ted's kid. I would have had no idea what any of that meant. So that makes sense now.
Yeah.
What we get a setup here for is Michelle gets on the call and asks Ted about the divorce papers, which yes, Ted has on his desk, but he hasn't signed yet. And man, is that coming to play later.
Yeah.
We go to Rebecca's office and see that a flower company has sent her a happy anniversary email. We know what that's in reference to.
Jeez, this is one of those things, isn't it? It's like when you buy flowers one time.
Yes.
You get stuff constantly, or like you buy a drill and it's like, oh, it's our Black Friday sale. Do you want to buy another? How many drills do you think I need?
One thing though that is kind of telling about it, which it's sort of unsaid, is the fact that it's addressed to her. It's almost like she's been the one ordering the flowers for herself.
Oh, well done.
Her own flowers, yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. The fact that she's got the email, it's like happy anniversary, Rebecca. It's like, well, why is she ordering the flowers and not Rupert doing it for her?
Because Rupert's a shit, as we find out.
Mm-hmm.
I have got in my notes more than once today, Rupert is scum.
Oh, mate.
We'll get to it.
When we get to that episode, I have such... not schadenfreude, but yeah, just,
Man,
but yes.
Thanos would take one look at Rupert and say, dude, you suck, man. You're a bad person.
Charles Manson would be like, calm down, son. There's no need to be that evil.
Yeah, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the rest of the wackos in the jail cell are sitting on one side and Rupert's by himself because they're like, I'm not sitting over there. He's hurtful.
It's unmitigated evil.
He is.
And I know he's supposed to be, but
he's very good.
Wind it in Anthony Stewart head. Like it's like pantomime villain level malevolence at this point.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But we
Keeley
get Keeley coming in.
Yes.
Again, she's so happy to be like involved in this, and Was it going to dip my toe back into the lady pool? What better way to do it? and Rebecca's like, no, that's not what this is.
She's like a little panicked when she says that too. And you know what's funny is that this show is so young. When the first time I watched it, I thought, is Keeley bisexual? Like, wow, is that where they're going to take this? And then she just messed with her. But guys, this plants the seeds because she makes the comment, it had been a while.
Yeah.
And then that pays off later.
Yeah. But it's the pure look of not horror, but like, oh, I've made a terrible mistake on Rebecca's face.
I love when she goes to Rebecca, I'm just fucking with you. But I have thought about it.
Yeah.
Deadpan as well. I have thought about it, though.
Yeah. She says, oh God, I thought you were serious. Can you imagine? She goes, oh, I have. Yeah. Oh, so good. Higgins comes in singing and says, and sees Keeley observing that there will be another passenger on the flight. Rebecca tells him that Keeley is taking his spot on the jet. Keeley's going to go, listen. So Keeley says, I'm going to go spend a penny before they take off.
Yeah.
Going for a wee. Going to the bathroom.
Thank you. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
But what does that mean exactly?
So we call a penny 1p.
Yeah. A 1 penny piece. Idea. So a p.
Yeah. So it on the coin it says 1p. So she's basically going for a p.
Interesting.
That great British wit you've heard so much about evidence there.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. I knew that's what it was, but I'm like, I'm going to make a note to ask because I want to be sure what this is. So when she walks off, Higgins says, oh, it's okay. You know, I enjoy the antics on the team bus. Rebecca says, no, I need you to stay here this weekend doing work that doesn't matter. And she's very happy about it.
If you remember what happened at the end of the last episode, it's revealed that Higgins has helped Ted with the whole Danny Rojas curse thing.
Yes.
And this is not, this was not part of her plan, that Higgins has sort of betrayed her a little bit. And this is his punishment. This is his comeuppance, is that he misses out on the away date at Liverpool. It's the line, doing work that doesn't matter. And it's just like,
it's crazy how she's like Jekyll and Hyde, isn't she?
She is.
At this point, like, she's so nice to Keeley and people that like she's genuinely interested in like developing a friendship with. But then Higgins, who she's obviously got like a lot of kind of vitriol towards, and Ted, who, to a degree, she's just like completely cold-hearted.
As we found out as well earlier, though, like she does have, you know, Higgins did sort of sneak women in and like distract her so that Rupert could shag about. And so I can understand that. And that's sort of why I think he went along with the plan, because out of a sense of loyalty or shame or...
Yeah. But I think the thing with Higgins is he loves the club, doesn't he? Like, that's everything he does. It doesn't matter about like personal vendettas or any kind of thing. He wants the club to do well. He wants it to succeed because he's a fan of the club.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that when he's watching the game later in this episode with his family. He's not doing his job. He's supporting the team he loves.
Yeah, it's important to him. He's a lifer. It's not just a job for him. I mean, probably as a kid, he grew up loving this team and then ended up working for the team later. Like,
has it ever been said how long he's been there for?
No, it's kind of alluded to that he was like Rupert's like right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So he's probably and this is just pure speculation on my part, but it just kind of, because they feel like similar characters, he's probably done what Nate did, but like 20, 30 years prior.
Worked his way up
like,
that way.
Yeah. Started off as like the like groundskeeper and the kit man, and then moved his way up all the way to being like the director of football.
And from another one of Joe's favorite characters who we get to meet in this episode, we find out that Rebecca and Rupert were together around 6 years. So if you do the math there, if it's 6 years, we can guess and say that he's at least been there 10 to 20, somewhere in that range. I
think I'm with Jay's theory of that. Yeah, he's, like you said, he is a lifer. He's worked his way up because he does have a genuine love for the club. And again, later on, as we'll find out, that's why he's done what he's done, because he wants the team to succeed. He can see that Ted's making that difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For the greater good, because Higgins is a good soul.
He is. Hey, what is up? Tom Clark here for Tom Clark's 6M Podcast, where we focus on movies, music, Marvel, magazines, miniseries, and more. It's a complete geek culture / pop culture podcast. Brand new episodes drop every Tuesday. The show is available for subscription right now today on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Just subscribe and you'll be all set. Tom Clark's 6M Podcast. He's a good soul. And I think we pointed out, I think in the last episode, the one before, I believe, that the guys who are athletes can see Ted. Like, Rebecca's not an athlete. Keeley's not an athlete. Trent Crimm's not an athlete. But, like, the athletes in the locker room see Ted and begin to understand what he's doing. So, But, like, you know what I mean? Like, musicians have a language. Athletes have a language. And it's once you're in the room with another one of those guys, you're like, I get it. I know. So, like, if Ted really was an inept coach, it by episode 7, no one would be speaking to him.
They'd have seen through him. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think Higgins falls into that.
The way that, like, football management works, he'd be out on his ass before. Like
3 games in, he'd be out. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the record for the shortest tenure for a football manager in English football is like 6 games.
Wow.
So yeah, it'd probably be one of them.
Wow. So next we go, speaking of Ted, the star of the show, Ted goes in the locker room and asks the team if they're ready to show Everton what they've got. Are you ready to show them what we've got? And that he gets nothing. The team.
Danny Rojas goes, yes!
Danny says, woo! I appreciate that, Danny. It's really good. Ted asks Beard why everyone is so down the dumps. Did Beyonce dump Jay-Z? And Beard touches his shoulder and says, no, nothing like that. Like, it's real serious.
I've just imagined that, and I'm sad just thinking about it.
It's so good. The thing between Ted and Beard is priceless. I would say we didn't get enough of it, but I'm sure we did. But I just want more of the two of them together in the same room.
There's a bit at the end of this episode, or possibly the start of the next one, where they have the conversation, and it is one of those classic Ted Beard just bits of dialogue that shows you it is the shared brain that they have.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. Ted says, thank goodness, like you said. Beard has a chill from the thought of it, right? He's like that. Ted asks the team what's up. Sam says, they're fine. Isaac says, I'm all right. Then Roy yells, we're in a shit fucking mood because we never fucking win at Everton and it sucks fucking shit. Like, he can't get his words out. He's so mad. And Beard scoffs at this, and Ted asks, how long has it been since you guys won against Everton? And Colin answers, 60 years. Like, that's a long time, guys.
But Beard's face is like, oh.
Yeah.
It happens. There's been a lot of like times when football teams are just it's usually referred to as like a banana skin team, where it's a team that just you cannot for love or money get a result against, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
And like there's like Everton are one of like mine, where every season when we're playing them, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, here we go, Everton. Yeah, it's cool that they've made it out that like the players have that same mindset, because you can see at certain times when like you're playing against a team that you'd never beat, and you see the players come out and you just go, oh yeah, they're on the same boat as me.
They've got lose face, yeah.
Yeah, they've got lose face.
Oh man. Well, we always praise the writing on the show, and with good reason, but they immediately paid off the bit of Beard going, ha. And then them saying 60 years and him going, Jesus Christ. It's those quick, like, call and response jokes that they pepper in is so good. So good. Ted says, well, they've got that going on. And plus, they're all upset that O'Brien tore his butt.
Tore his butt?
Tom O'Brien is the goalkeeper and played by an actor named Tom Kendrick. O'Brien says it was his upper hamstring, and Ted answers with, you tore your butt, son. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It happens.
At this point, Beard crosses out torn hamstring and writes broken butt on the whiteboard.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
I love the way Ted goes. I mean, there's no shame in that, son. Beard's done it how many times? And he's like, 3, sir.
But if you look as well, it disarms everyone in the room. It relaxes them and puts them at ease. And they all start, there's like a couple of laughs at the start. And by the time he's like, Beard's done it 3 times, they're all like, oh, right, yeah, it's Ted. Yeah, we can like speak to him about this and the fear of it and stuff.
He says the butt is an amazing muscle. He points to O'Brien and says, God is my witness. Your butt will heal. That's so good.
Yeah.
He turns back to the team and says the silver lining is that with O'Brien's torn butt, it keeps going. And what's great is that O'Brien is okay with it. He took it in good humor.
Again, it defended it, but again, it's not from malice.
Right.
It's a fun joke. It's a gentle rib in his direction, but it's disarmed the team. It's made everyone be like, it's funny. He has torn his butt.
So good. He says with O'Brien's torn butt, Zorro from Montreal be filling in as goalie. Zorro says it's pronounced Zorro. And he keeps like, Zorro? Sorry. He can't get it right. He looks at Beard and he says, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. That's so good. Oh my God. He tells the team unless one of them has a crystal ball, they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's why they play the game. Let me hear it. Richmond on 3. And only Danny does it. So good.
Because of course, it's Danny.
Every locker room needs a Danny. Every family needs a Danny, I think.
Everyone needs a Danny in their lives.
Even better.
That permanently upbeat person.
Even better. They head outside. We see 2 reporters stop Ted. We've seen these guys before at the press conference when Ted spit the fizzy water on the front row. Lloyd, played by Lloyd Griffith, points out that they've lost Jamie and that they're not in great shape. Is Ted worried about relegation? Ted says, well, not right now. I'm mostly concerned with the definition of relegation.
So relegation. Ted doesn't understand what it is,
clue.
Does he? Like, it's that no one's explained to him how like the leagues work and stuff. It's a brilliant thing, but we find out that they've drawn 1 and lost 1. They haven't won a game since Jamie left,
and they haven't scored a goal either.
Well, they won the game without Jamie, right? Because
Jamie played in that game.
He did. You're right. My bad. You're right.
Yeah. And since Jamie went back to Man City, they haven't scored and they've drawn, which should be a 0-0 draw, and they've lost. And yeah, Ted does Ted stuff. He just blows it off. He's just like, well, what was it? I'm more concerned with the welfare. It's the good thing about being a coach is it's the bonds you get to make with the players more than them playing a game on a bit of grass.
Yeah, he said that losing Jamie broke his heart a bit. Yeah.
Which it did. We had him stomping off, didn't we?
Jay, without going in the weeds, which this can take 30 minutes if we let it, give us a quick definition or explanation of relegation. We haven't heard that on the show yet, but we'll get it here.
So essentially there's different tiers of like leagues. There's the Premier League, which is the top one. There's the Championship, which is the one below. The bottom 3 teams get relegated to the Championship at the end of the season. And then the top 2 teams from the Championship get promoted, and then there's a playoff for the third one, which I can't remember much from the season 2, so it might become important later that I've just said that. We'll refresh our memory when we get to it. But essentially, it means they'll drop down a league. It has like massive financial ramifications as well, because they lose a lot of TV money. They'll lose like it's one of those things. You get parachute payments, but it's only over 3 years. So it's essentially you've got 3 years to get out of there back to the league you were in. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
So if you're in the Championship League, are you on TV?
You are on TV, but considerably less.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But also, you're going to play more games, so it's going to be harder to get out the Championship because there's more teams in the Championship.
I mean, there is a league below that and a league below that, and then there's loads of leagues below it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
What's the bottom league?
Oh, it'd be like one of the like local leagues.
The Beezer Homes League or the Hammerite. There's that'll be like my local club. would be in the St. Helens Glass League or whatever. It'd just be a league sponsored by a local business or something. Like it's
so over here with sports, there's a farming system for the NBA. There's a farming system for Major League Baseball. Is it similar here? Like if you're a young player, like you can start in smaller leagues, and if you're good enough, you can work your way up to other teams, or you land wherever you land.
So the best example of this is Jamie Tart, because he's essentially like a hot prospect player who is playing for like the biggest team in football, and he's been loaned to Richmond, who are like a team who are still playing at that level, but they're obviously not on the level of City. They're just like playing in the same league. So he's been sent there to get a bit more experience and a bit more kind of like bit more like game time under his belt. A lot of the time they'll like sort of send younger players out to lower league teams or lower down in the league teams, just to kind of gain a bit of experience, as opposed to having like a youngster and going, I'm just going to put them straight in the team. And obviously they're not ready. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not.
It's experience and probably drives up their worth as well.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a roll of the dice. So if you're playing like a youngster, whether they're going to be any good or not.
Also, by the same token as well, you've got Roy, who was scouted at 9, and sent to play. Yeah,
that's it. Like a lot of like, and I say a lot of big clubs, a lot of clubs in general will all have youth academies. You tend to find some of the better ones, like teams that aren't near the absolute tippity top, the sort of like mid-table or in the championship, and then you tend to find a lot of those clubs then make a lot of money off sort of having like these like exciting young players and selling them to a big club for probably 3 times what they're worth because of their age and because of their upside. Southampton are a good example of that, who I think we'll probably talk about at some point in the show.
I think you're right. So I appreciate that. That's good to know. I'm learning so much about this because
it's all knowledge.
Listen, you know what I knew about it going into this show? Nothing. But to be fair, I'm raised in America where I know it exists, but it's not.
Oh, it's a very different system in America anyway. Like even if you followed it, like it's the way the major MLS, Major League Soccer, is to the Premier League. It's like night and day. Like it's almost like different sports to a degree.
I can't remember whether we've had it yet or not, but don't they ask Ted about relegation in American sports? And he goes, oh no, nobody gets relegated. They just play games that don't mean anything. Yeah.
Wow.
Essentially, yeah. Like with the MLS, it's more that you've got to kind of like buy your team into the league, and then the league split up into like different conferences, and I think it's like 3 or 4 parts, maybe. I could be wrong on that, but either way, like it's like smaller leagues, and no one ever moves up or down. It's just like the champions, and then they'll face another team in like the playoff to see who's the overall champion.
Yeah,
it's very complicated. It sounds that way.
It is.
Ted says there's. He says, "All right, we'll see you guys there." Last one there is a Scotch egg. Again, throwaway jokes.
It's such a bizarre thing,
isn't it?
He's ingratiating himself into the culture, though, isn't he?
But the line I've always heard is last one there's a rotten egg.
That's the line.
Yeah.
That's the line.
But he's gone Scotch egg.
Yeah. Do you know what a Scotch egg is, Tom?
I do, but I don't. Like I know, but like I can't explain to you what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Hard-boiled egg, wrapped in sausage meat, covered in breadcrumbs, deep fried.
That sounds amazing.
Really delicious.
It sounds so good.
So some places do a poached egg as well, don't they, instead of a hard boil?
You can have it with like a...
It's also very good.
Yeah. Oh, mate, there was a place in Manchester that used to do it with... it was like pork and black pudding in the
I was going to say
section.
Manchester egg.
Manchester egg.
Yeah.
A pickled egg with black pudding and sausage.
Yeah.
I've had a few of them in my time.
They're incredibly unhealthy.
I was going to say,
also, like delicious as hell. You get them at a lot of buffets and weddings and stuff. Because
they're good if you're kind of like having a day out going to a couple of pubs. They're good kind of like pub food.
Sustenance food, yeah, pocket food.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it's usually what I do in Manchester because a lot of bars just seem to have them like a little microwave to heat them up in, and then just like a fridge full of them. And it's like, oh yeah, it's £3 for a Scotch egg, and it's like,
but it's essentially a meal. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Join the Untitled Wrestling Podcast for all the latest pro wrestling news from around the world. Want to dive deeper? Interviews, fantasy booking, roundtable discussions, quizzes, video game streaming, watch-alongs, and a lot more can all be found on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. You can also find the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Untitled Wrestling Podcast, and Twitter, Twitch, and Discord at Untitled Rest Pod. Follow, subscribe, and download today. As the bus is getting ready to leave, they suddenly stop. Ted runs out to let Nate out. I guess he figures out Nate must be on the bus.
See, I'm thinking, does he, or did they just hear a banging and they go, "Oh yeah, it must be"?
Unless
Nate.
he says, "Where's Nate?"
Surely Nate could have just texted them.
Yeah, but
fair.
It could be. Again, it leaves it open to interpretation as to how Nate gets out of there.
I feel like with Ted, it's like
done a head count.
He's probably gone, "Where's Nate?"
That's fair. So we go to the hotel. Rebecca and Keeley have already arrived in Liverpool. They have the presidential suite at the hotel. Keeley tells the bellhop that she and her lady are going to have a quick shag and a shower before they hit the town. He responds with, "Welcome to Liverpool," and he hurries out. Rebecca looks disappointed, and Keeley says, "What? He would have spent the cash tip in a minute. The image I just gave him is going to last him a lifetime." But then Rebecca suddenly gets emotional and tells her that it's her and Rupert's anniversary weekend, and it's the first one she spent alone. Keeley rushes in for a hug, which immediately. Yeah. And eventually Rebecca says, "That's a long hug," which is nice. But Keeley is breaking. I was going to say that she's already broke her down. Has she broke her down, or is she still working on her?
No, but I think this is the first time that Rebecca shows a genuine, opens herself up. Like the core of Rebecca is briefly exposed at that point. Because up to this point, she's always been like fun but stern, and this is the first time we see her in a position of weakness. And I think that's why Keeley rushes in, because she knows that what is this?
Yeah, I think as well, because Keeley's so kind of in your face, what you see is what you get. It kind of throws Rebecca off her game, so she can't think about being that cold, sort of closed off person, because Keeley's just so bubbly and full of life, and Rebecca's it's infectious, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what Keeley does well is disarm people.
Because we kind of felt like this whole time that Rebecca's just been sort of tolerating her, but now it's is she really just tolerating her, or is she? Okay, you got me. And plus Rebecca doesn't have a girlfriend anywhere. She does now.
I was going to say the fact that she invited her on the trip in Higgins' place. Part of it, you can see it as being sort of vindictive towards Higgins, but then the other part, it's maybe it's because she wanted to kind of bond with Keeley a bit more.
But also, I've just realised that we never see Rebecca have any other friends.
No.
She is alone.
It's explained later in this episode why.
Yeah. But I was saying up to this point, and whether that's through Rupert or her own choice, she has chosen to isolate herself.
It's true.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's when you get that friend who gets a new girlfriend and then you don't see them
see them for ages, yeah.
For ages, and it's nothing personal. It's just more because they're putting so much time into one thing that they're forgetting about everything else.
Listen, everyone has been in a relationship with a relationship vampire. I have. If you haven't, count yourself lucky. The time and energy it takes to keep that person happy, to keep that person here, and at some point, man, this is going to get deep. At some point, you go, this is really hard, and I seem to be the only one working. This sucks.
It's not worth it. Yeah, it's never.
There
worth
you
it.
go. That's all I'm saying. So Nate is handing out room keys, which is great. He hardly ever takes charge,
but he's doing bits. He's doing bits.
Yes. He's reminding the team that hotel furniture stays in the rooms, not the hallways of the pool, and they're not allowed to ship it to their homes or other hotels, which is like...
I love the way that when he says that, he looks at Isaac as well, and Isaac just kind of like puts his head down like, okay.
Like, why would you ship it to another hotel? Ted tells him he says, all right, guys, it's movie night or pillow fight. Which one's it going to be? And they answer movie night. He says, okay, but if you say pillow fight one time, we're never going to watch a movie together again. Oh, it's so good.
Again, I'm sure, like, with what, 2/3 of the season in at this point, like the football season. So they've had several away days at this point, and Ted's asked
every time,
everyone,
every time. Ted tells Beard he's got room 5150. Finally, Sammy Hagar's greatest lead singer in Van Halen history. Beard puts up a finger. Ted says, in the post David Lee Roth era. And he asked Beard what room he got, and he said 5148. And they both tip an invisible hat and go, howdy, neighbor.
Howdy, neighbor.
Howdy, neighbor.
Oh, I love that. Again, this is something they've done more than one time.
Yeah.
So good.
Just these fun little stupid jokes.
Yeah, like everybody needs a Danny. Everybody needs a beard as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a beard, but a beard.
No.
A coach
beard.
A shared brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rebecca's calling the front desk about the champagne that she and Keeley ordered. She asks Keeley if they should get the concierge to make a dinner reservation. She hears Keeley mention Shipley's Steakhouse, right? So she tells the guy on the phone that. Then she asks Keeley if 8 p.m. works for her.
I could go for steak.
Yes. And she hears Keeley say the business center is open 24 hours a day.
She just goes, it's a bit weird.
So curious, she walks in and sees Keeley just staring blankly at a TV. She's on the TV, and she gives the highly quotable line.
In some early 2000s get-up.
And the hair.
Like, the hair and the dress is proper.
Liverpool has much to offer when it comes to nightlife. From pubs and clubs
it comes to nightlife.
To the great Asian pastime, karaoke. What a horrible thing to say. Like,
can confirm. There is a multitude of karaoke bars in Liverpool. I do not know why. Yeah. Well, there's Chinatown where like pretty much every Chinese restaurant that's open all day, every day. Like I literally like I know people who will go for a Chinese meal like in the middle of the night.
I can do that
because they know I could do that. I never have, but it's good to know it's there. But also,
it's an experience.
We'll do it. We'll do it when you come to Liverpool next. Also, there's at least 2 or 3 of them which have got karaoke rooms above the restaurant. And then there's just tons of karaoke bars. I don't know why. There just is. It's probably the Beatles.
It's a fun thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Liverpool's very much a city that doesn't sleep.
That's cool, actually.
There's like a couple of bars that like literally open till like 7 a.m. Which is dangerous.
No kidding. Yeah.
I've been caught in that before a few times in my youth.
Man, I'm born and raised in a sleepy southern town in North Carolina, but I promise you, I'm a city boy at heart and always have been. I love the idea of a city open 24/7. I get excited by the idea of it. I would love to live inside. Are you kidding me? In a heartbeat, I'd do it. For someone that's always lived here, I'm very self-aware. I'm aware of my surroundings. I've not so acclimated that I don't see things. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love the idea of open 24/7. That's awesome. I mean, they roll the streets up here at 8 o'clock every night. I promise you.
Well, in case they get wet in the rain.
Very good.
Keeley says, I have no memory of doing this.
No memory of doing it.
I love that this, like, it's the first time we see it, like, see Keeley at, like, hotels like that, but it becomes, like, a running joke.
It does.
Throughout the entire show. Like, every time they're in a hotel, Keeley's on the telly telling them where
in various languages,
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is that sort of thing of, like, she is that level of famous where this is what you do. Like that, it's that sort of thing. And it's also, this was clearly recorded in 2001, and they're still running that on the information channel.
Which you will see happen with like a lot of hotels.
Oh, yeah.
And what was it she told Rebecca, that she's famous for being almost famous?
Almost famous, yeah.
Yeah. One thing as well, I said to you guys when we were before we started recording, when she's in front of the skyline of Liverpool, you can see my old place of work and my new place of work.
Yeah.
In different shots because there's two different skylines behind her. But yeah, that's the very famous shot of the Liverpool waterfront. That's generally the picture they use of Liverpool.
Nice,
yeah,
because it's got it all in, but not it all in.
Rebecca says we're gonna drink that champagne, we're gonna go out and have a meal, and we're gonna have a good
Leave
time.
The past in the past.
That's it. Keeley goes, that sounds fucking great.
Then there's a knock at the door, and Joe's second favorite cast member, Flo Collins, played by Ellie Taylor. She's also known as Sassy.
I just hate her.
But I, on the other hand, love her.
I didn't like her the first time I watched her. She just got on my nerves a little bit. But then I found myself not hating her this time around.
The jury's still out. Like...
She comes in and immediately calls Rebecca stinky. And that's horrible.
Like,
that annoyed me.
I hate that nickname.
That is like, it's you don't, like, you're grown women. You don't call, but later on, I guess she's there for a reason.
She is there for a reason.
And if that helps to make Rebecca feel more comfortable and wanted, then it's for the greater good.
So
the greater good.
We've seen Rupert bring her down to earth in the worst way possible, and he should be drawn and quartered for it. But Sassy brings her down to earth in another way, as a reminder of, you're no better than the rest of us, and I love you,
she's
right? But like, because
she's her friend, and that's what friends do. You can do that to mates because you love. It comes from a place of love. But it's the fact that she opens the door and she just strides in and goes, ooh, like. What's it, old grey walnuts?
Yeah,
still giving you the posh place even without grey walnuts. So, like, I kind of like her because she hates Rupert, and clearly has hated Rupert from the start. But I find her quite abrasive. It's just me.
I love her.
But yeah, she goes on, and like, and it thinks the thing where she goes, Keeley's sitting there, and she goes, "Oh, sorry, are you Russian?"
Are you Russian? You look Russian.
But she kind of goes, "Are you Russian?" And I was like,
"Oh, look at you hating it. I love it." Keeley says, A, I love you. B, who are you? That's great.
Keeley's sitting there like a dog that's been shown a magic trick, though. She's just like she's bewildered by what's happened. This like absolute force of nature has rolled in, and she's like, "Oh, okay, we can be friends."
Well, she's got more in common with Sassy than she has with Rebecca, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Both very similar personalities, just
bubbly and
yeah,
opposite ends of the spectrum. And that.
What's interesting here is Rebecca introduces her as a brilliant child psychologist, to which she, that kind of thing.
She kind of goes,
and a newly single mom to an amazing 12-year-old girl named Nora, who is her goddaughter, but she's completely neglected to speak to in the last 6 years. And it just comes out. And it's almost like by saying it out loud, she realizes, man, what have I done? It's like one of the first times that she really, I think, not lowers is not the right word, but comes to a self-realization of what she's done. Yes.
But knowing that Sassy didn't like Rupert, do you reckon Rupert was like, we're not going to see her anymore?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like it's one of those 6 to 1 half dozen of the other style situations. Like Rebecca has not seen them because it was just easier than having to deal with the arguments with Rupert.
Very much so. Very much so. So Sassy tells her to remind her to bury. He said, "Remind me to bury you in the set list for speeches at my funeral," which is a great line. She shakes Keeley's hand and introduces herself as Sassy, and then they talk about Sassy's divorce, and she confirms it. Rebecca does, saying that she bumped into Darren at a party, and he told her right after he hit on her. Sassy says, "Right, what else is new?" Do you love films that have the same plot over and over and over and over again with only slightly different looking people in the main roles, but just don't have time to watch them all? You do? Then simply listen to Hallmark of Greatness, the only podcast that takes you through such masterpieces as Love at Sea, Love at Christmas, and A Volcano Sacrifice for Love. See a pattern here? Available wherever you get podcasts from, and also find us on social media by looking for Hallmark of Greatness. Still weird to roll out that information in that order.
In that order. They're all scum.
All scum, yeah.
Yeah.
So Sassy's invited herself in for the night. She's coming along. She's got a stolen bottle of champagne from the room trolley in the hallway.
It's their bottle of champagne.
Yeah. Keeley is very impressed with her and calls her amazing.
And then she just goes, "I'm Keeley, by the way."
She hugs her out of nowhere, too. It's great. And she goes, "Oh, I know who you are. My ex used to masturbate to you like a maniac."
Yep. As we found out, apparently a lot of people did. Yeah.
Keeley's not an unattractive woman.
I mean, Jay, you'll remember like the era of like Zoo and Nuts and that sort of stuff where attractive women could make a career out of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Of like
that's how like a lot of like footballers, like wives and girlfriends, kind of get their sort of foot in the door to like meeting these footballers as well, like events like this because of the do and stuff like that.
I mean, that's basically what Keeley is, isn't she? She's an amalgam of all of those.
She's a glamour model, isn't she?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why she says she's famous for being almost famous.
That's such a great line. So we see the team, they're having movie night, not pillow fight, movie night. And it's the Iron Giant.
Oh.
I missed this the first time and I went back and watched it again because I missed it, but I think I knew what happened. One of the guys is on his phone. I don't know which player it was. Isaac gives him a look, just looks at him like that. And then he immediately puts his phone away.
He gives him a look and like slightly shakes his head.
The camera focuses in on Roy behind them and he sees it.
Yeah. Great little bit of foreshadowing there.
So good. Absolutely brilliant.
One note I made here, which it's not really anything to the story, but I'm sure Joe will understand the reference. If the Everton fans found out that Richmond was staying here, you'd be hearing fireworks a lot. Basically, Everton fans have a bit of a reputation. I don't know why they do it. I do. When it was mainly this season just gone because they were in a relegation battle. They'd find out where the away team was staying in Liverpool and then set fireworks off outside the hotel all night.
Wow.
To keep the players up. So, yeah, that's why I say that.
It is illegal to let off fireworks after 10 o'clock apart from New Year's Eve, bonfire night, Diwali, and I think a Jewish holiday that I can't remember which one it is, but I did look into that because I was like, I hate fireworks.
Isn't the Jubilee as well?
Possibly, but yeah,
Probably.
I hate fireworks anyway because it's a waste of time. It scares birds, scares my dog. It's a waste of money.
Yeah,
we're in America. We love blowing stuff up, so we have an affinity for them.
I like one night if it was like bonfire night. If it was Guy Fawkes night, it was one night a year. I'd be fine with it, but it's like 2 weeks before and 3 weeks afterwards, and then it's New Year, and then it starts, and it's just, and it's always people who shouldn't be able to afford to buy fireworks who are buying fireworks.
That's fair, actually. That's very fair.
I live over the road from a park, so I can attest to what Joe's saying. I hate it because I live over the road from a park. Everyone sets them all off in the park, and it's never just one like little group of people setting like fireworks off, especially like around bonfire night in the UK. It's
someone's bought a howitzer.
It's the whole fucking park. Yeah, it's like the Blitz.
And they never clean up after themselves either. You go there the next morning and there's all empty cardboard boxes on the floor and disgusting.
if you sit close to fireworks before, you learn to have sunglasses on, because as you're looking up, that ash comes down and you go, wait, what was that? And then, oh, it's a bad day.
Watch them on a computer. Safer.
Oh, man. Indoor fireworks.
Look up.
Hey, there's...
Oh, no. We had those as children. I've never been so disappointed in my life.
There is pyro at the pro wrestling shows. I'm just saying. That's something to be excited for.
Yeah, but I've not brought my dog to the wrestling.
When my kid was like small enough, he was still being carried, and he was horrified. He would shake so hard, I thought he was going to have a seizure. I mean,
it's loud and it's...
I mean, he'd throw his arms around my neck and he's like Taz with a chokehold. I'm like, hold on, I'll get you out of here.
Like, genuinely, if I go to indie shows now, I've got a pocket full of earplugs, and I'll just hand them out to kids because it's loud. Not in a creepy way. I'm not walking about going, here, take two of these.
Please, kid, come here.
But like, oh, come here, I'll put them in your ears. Why are your hands on my shoulders? Never you mind. Yeah, it's
great.
But it's because it is like wrestling shows are loud. Even when there's no pyro, it's still loud, and it's very overwhelming for a small child. Their ears are more sensitive than grown-up ears.
See, you're helping the community. That's what I appreciate.
I went to a show and there was a kid genuinely, like you said, shaking and crying, and his parents wouldn't take him out. And I was like, take your child out. He's not having fun. Like, you might be, but he's not. And that's my priority if I had a kid. And so, I've always got just the plastic. The other cheap foamy ones. You can buy a bag of them for like £4 off the internet.
It's nothing.
At least it dulls it down a bit. Top tip.
So, Ted's talking to Nate and Beard. Ted thinks they can win tomorrow. This is a great scene.
They're eating some horrible looking pizza.
I know, right? I couldn't make out what it was at first. Beard agrees and says that they match up perfectly. Nate says he believes the team can do anything. Ted says, okay, if you were me, what would you tell these guys? And he's like, he's not going to tell him. He says, hey, I'm just asking for your opinion. You have one, right? He goes, yeah. He says, lock the load, ready to go? He's like, yeah. He says, then tell me. No, I'm not. Like, he won't tell him.
Well, why not?
He said, what are you afraid of is going to happen if you tell me? He says, you won't like my idea. It'll make you hate me. Then you fire me. I have to move back in with my parents. They'll be ashamed of me. And then everyone finds out back home and laughs at me until my face melts off.
Face melts off. And then he just goes, I have to go by. Doesn't stop for a breath. Just is off.
I love the way Beard goes. Well, at least he didn't stutter that time.
Ted gets a text from Michelle about the divorce papers. He gets up to leave and asks Beard to keep an eye on the guys. Around the 74-minute mark, there's going to be a room full of grown men crying. Beard says, I'll be one of them, and he tosses a box of tissues onto the table. Listen, here's by the second mention of the divorce papers, I'm starting to get a little pissed for my guy Ted because I love the guy. But number two, what is your freaking hurry? What, you know what I mean?
It's been a day. You set off that morning.
Yeah, literally, she's mentioned it twice to him within the space of a day, and he's obviously like, I'm pretty busy, but I will get to it.
Big thing here.
Yeah.
Like an away match against a team we've never beaten.
It's not like he's saying, I'm not going to do it. He's saying, I am going to get to it. I've just got other stuff I need to do first.
I haven't got my job to do first. Yeah. Why are you so in a rush to get divorced?
Unbelievable. That's what started bugging me.
But yeah, also, I think at the 74-minute is the bit in the Iron Giant where the Iron Giant goes bad as well, I think. Where I don't know. I meant to look that up, but I forgot. But I think that's when he gets weaponized.
I didn't realize this episode was that soon. I was going to rewatch it so we could talk about that briefly. But
yeah.
I literally watched these two episodes about an hour before we recorded this, so that didn't happen.
My first watch through, I watched them, and then my second watch through, I took notes. So there you go.
Fair.
So what happens at the 74-minute mark, Jay, you think?
I think that's where the Iron Giant gets, because he's quite gentle and fun and they're mucking about. And I think at the 74-minute is where the military get their hands on him and weaponize him. I think. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've watched it, and I can't watch it very often because it breaks my heart. Yeah. I'm a very fragile soul. In case you haven't got that up to this point, I cry a lot. Vin Diesel, though.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, it's all about family. So, Tell me that didn't land. That was a good one. We're on Vin Diesel, aren't we? So we see Rebecca, Sassy, and Keeley at dinner, and they're having fun. Sassy hits on the waiter in Rebecca's name here, and then excuses herself to go outside for a smoke. Rebecca won't be joining her because she doesn't smoke anymore. And Sassy notices the waiter eyeing her from across the room. She says, "And yet you're still on fire." That's a great line. That's a Keeley line. Man, you hate freaking Sassy, dude.
It's just the fact that, like, that guy's just doing his job, and she's like, "Get your knob out." There's a difference between being bold and being uncouth. Like,
hey, look,
I don't know.
If I looked like him, I'd never put it away. I promise you that. It'd be all the time. They'd be arresting me. Tom, put it away, for God's sake. Have you seen what I look like? It's never getting put away.
Cranking, turning the black pepper grinder with it. Yeah.
Oh.
Say when.
3 towels in a suitcase. Anyway, there's another joke there.
But yeah, she goes out and Ted is asking if they've got a fax machine. And again, this is one of those, because the guy's on the phone to someone, the guy behind the reception desk, and he's just like, "I suggest flush it harder." Yeah.
I like this guy.
This guy is very, well, he's a Scouser, obviously.
Yeah.
He's very kind of very accurate representation, I thought, of people from Liverpool.
Because when he asked him for a fax, he goes, "A fax machine." Oh, you're serious? So good.
Oh, and he goes, "Well, let me just, I'll just make some phone calls, and I'll let you know." And again, it's just like Sassy walks past, and she's like, "A fax machine? What are you trying to do? Contact someone in the 1990s?" And I'm like, "Who are you?"
I'm having fun with this anti-Sassy.
Putting into people's conversations, like, Ted's just trying to get on with his day. He doesn't need
you. But
the
banter they have is great.
Well, Ted will talk to anyone. As we've already discovered, Ted would talk to a scarecrow. But
quick as a whippet, though, with his comeback to it, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's very good. Yeah. They talk about time travel for a bit, which is really good.
I'm just going to send a fax back to myself to buy stock in Apple.
Yeah.
But then she goes, "Oh, remind me to kill J.K. Rowling."
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say he does quite a positive thing and she does something negative, but I mean, no J.K. Rowling, is it really that bad?
No. But it's his line of, "I'll say take care of so there's no paper trail."
Great.
Like, again, it's one of Ted's bits, and he's managed to stuck someone into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well, while the like guy at the receptions on the phone, that's a very, very niche Liverpool bit of sense of humour, that, where he's like, "Oh yeah, and when's the court date?"
Good luck with the court date.
Yeah, and he's like, "There is one. It's 8 miles away at a tanning salon in Croxteth." Croxteth is a really rough part of Liverpool. It's like a really there's a show in there's a show in England called Ross Kemp on Gangs, and it's basically like this ex hard man who goes and does documentaries where he goes to all over the world, to he's done one in Rwanda, he's done one in South America with the favelas and all that,
one in South
and
Central,
the cartels, yeah. And he did one in Liverpool, and it was set in Croxteth. There's two places in Liverpool, Croxteth and Toxteth, that are both notoriously bad for stuff like that.
Isn't the one in Croxteth where that old boy just slaps his ear? He just I'm sure he's going, "Oh well, what would you do to me? What would you do to me?" And this old boy who looks like a proper villain, he's basically a human Scar, just He just slaps him across the ear and concusses his ear, and he's and then I think he's crying at one point, and it's almost "I didn't mean it. That's just what we did." And I don't know why he's Cockney, but yeah, it's rough. But we also find out that he calls her Sassy. "My name's Sassy." Sassy Smurf. Was that a Smurf? I don't think so. It seems a shame. Again, just Ted doing Ted bits. But Ted, I know I'm going to take it to a nail salon somewhere else.
I'm going to take it to the manicurist that has carrier pigeons.
A tanning salon.
That's it.
Hey, the bit about the court date, I almost made note of it because this show plants so many seeds. I thought, what is court date a reference to? But as you say, Croxteth, now it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's just a throwaway joke, yeah.
Perfect.
It's just a throwaway joke that the nearest place with a fax machine is in a rough area in a tanning salon that's probably laundering money.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very, like, there's a couple of little throwaway things in, like, the next couple of, like, moments of this, like, of the show here where, as I say, that's one, and then there's something else that's coming up.
Of Liverpool reference jokes, yeah.
This one isn't even Liverpool, it's football.
Yeah.
Well, when he walks off, Ted walks off, and he looks at the guy behind the counter, looks at her, and he says, "Can I help you?" And she says, "Well, I was going to go out for a smoke so my friend could pick up the bill, and I noticed Magnum PI at the desk, so I decided to flirt with him." Hey, Tom Clark here for Tom Clark's Main Event, and if you are not subscribed, you're doing life wrong. Going strong since 2014 with over 300 episodes and a variety of guests that include Randy Orton, The Big Show, Rob Van Dam, and a lot more. Check us out on all the major platforms, including YouTube at Boink Studios. Subscribe today, Tom Clark's Main Event. So he wishes her good luck, but she says, well, she thinks she fucked it. And he says, well, I get off at 30 minutes. And in the middle of him saying it, she just walks off. In the middle of it.
Yeah. He just sort of trails off and goes, oh, okay.
Well, if you like it. Well, of course not.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Well,
why would you? I want to hear that guy's story. The only note I have for the next scene is the room is full of grown men crying. Beard was correct.
Yeah.
They've hit the 74-minute mark. Sassy comes back to the table and tells Keeley that she just met the Marlboro Man, which is a great line. You guys get that, right? All right, cool. I remember growing up when you could still, he was everywhere, and you could still advertise TV or cigarettes on TV, and it was fine. Yeah. They didn't stop that until the 80s.
Snooker and the Formula One over here, yeah. You
crazy.
Still could, yeah.
Keeley asks why she calls Rebecca Stinky, and she explains Rebecca moved into her town when they were kids. She was already taller than her and had bigger breasts, and that her family was rich. So she told all her friends that Rebecca's nickname was Stinky. Like, is that a friend thing to do? Because it's obviously a kid who's not very nice thing to do.
I was going to say it's more of like a jealousy thing, isn't it? But then obviously from that they've become friends somewhere along the way.
It's a weird one.
It is.
Yeah.
So they toast. Sassy toasts to the ties that bind, and Keeley toasts to Rebecca. It's a great bit. I love this. Sassy says,
"This is a good bit,"
Rebecca. And she says, "What?" It says the real Rebecca is silly. Strong, but not cold. She tells Keeley that Rebecca has a beautiful voice and that her and Nora would sing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" planting seeds. She tells Keeley that if she likes that woman, she's going to love Rebecca. I love
Rebecca.
That.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Rebecca comes back and asks Sassy if she wants to do the bit where she pretends that she wants to pay.
Sassy goes, "This is fun. You should join in." Good. And Keeley's like, "Sweet, we get to do a bit."
Yeah, she's so happy.
I was going to get my card out and everything. Yeah, and it's a
as we
fun
get through this. I made the comment earlier about Rebecca's never really had a girlfriend. Keeley doesn't have girlfriends either.
No, and as we find out much later on, the people that she thinks of our friends are not nice people anyway. Yeah.
That's really good stuff. This next scene will gut you, if nothing guts you. Ted's in his room. There's an army man from Henry on his table and a small empty liquor bottles. Ted's hair is out of place, which means...
So he's in distress.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's really out of place, so he's like in a really
in a bad place, yeah.
So this was the bit where I had a little note. Ted gets a text off Michelle's lawyer. Again, they're really laying it on.
She's gone to the lawyer and gone... He's not sent it back yet. And he's like, "Oh, well, you can just send pictures of it and that's enough." And I'm like, it's one day. Because when it was on his desk in the office back at the dog track, it was out the envelope. Like, it's arrived that day. I can see she's very divorceable.
Well,
what's the attorney's name, Jay?
Brian Swanson, who is a football reporter in the UK. He's when there's like all like transfers and stuff like that, he isn't anymore. But at the time, he was like the head of like sort of all the sort of transfer talk. I don't know what he does now, but yeah. I was just like, I know that name, and I googled it. I was like, that's why I know that name.
That's really good.
Yeah. So just a little throwaway thing, but
I didn't even pick up on that.
I wouldn't have known. This is a show that cares enough to do something like that.
Good spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ted throws his phone down, and understandably so. And then he hears before he sees the envelope being slid under the door, pulled back, slid under, pulled back.
And I'm like, oh, even before he opens the door, I'm like, it's Nate.
When he throws that, he throws the door open. Ted, with his hair out of place, says, "What the hell do you want?" And I'm like, I've never heard Ted.
Whoa.
I mean, Ted got stern with Jamie. This is not the same thing.
No, this is like.
I think this is the only time in the entire duration of the show as well we see Ted like this, like sort of unhinged.
Yeah, and it is, mild unhinged, but for Ted, this is like nuclear level.
Yeah.
And he admonishes Nate.
Oh man,
because Nate's just like, oh, I've just written some of the ideas down, and he's like, he's on his knees in front of him, like it's kind of symbolic.
It is.
And he's just like, just get out of here, Nate. It's past curfew. Like he just like, and it's not a lot. Like he doesn't yell at him, call him anything. He just doesn't have the time of day for him.
He's very stern,
and he's proper angry daddy. Yeah,
it's true. And when Ted lays down, Keeley's commercials on TV again. It's so good, but he ends up passing out. The next day is game day, Goodison Park. I'm guessing this is an actual place?
Yes.
That's Everton's ground, Goodison Park.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a shed.
Fans are pouring into the stadium. We see Higgins and his family around the TV back home with snacks for the game. Beard is at the board drawing up plays, and the team's in the locker room getting ready. The announcers are saying that the last time Richmond won there, the number one UK hit was Elvis Presley's "It's Now or Never," which is a play on words here. Now or never for them, which is nice.
Everything's there for a reason.
Yes. Ted pulls Nate out of the locker room and apologizes for biting his head off.
This
so good
is one of those things where, like, as soon as Ted went to bed, he was like, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. And he's woke up that morning.
As soon as he shut the front door, shut the door, he was like that, you can tell. But, like, obviously he doesn't want to chase down Nate because Nate's probably thinking he's going to get an earful again.
Nate's off. Nate's in Toxteth at this point. Like, he's gone.
You know what I love about this apology? Ted doesn't mention the divorce. He doesn't mention Michelle. He just apologizes for yelling at him.
Yeah.
That's a man right there.
Well, his burdens are his own.
Yes.
Not anyone else's. Which, yes and no. But yeah, he just says, and the thing is, everyone's sick of hearing me talking. You're going to give the pre-game speech. I read it. It's good. You give it. And he's like, no.
And Ted walks in first, and Nate's behind him. He goes, no, oh my God. It's so good.
I think though Ted's insistence there's two key things which are kind of like the making of Nate in this episode, which is Ted's insistence that Nate has to do it because it builds his confidence and it ingratiates him to the team.
Yeah. And
then when Nate's kind of like got the ball rolling, he's getting a bit more confident, and Roy steps up to him and takes the notes off and says,
yes,
anything you've got to say to me, you've got to look me in the eye and say it like a man.
Yeah. So he looks at this piece of paper he's got, and all the team are like, "Come on, Nate, you can do it. Come on,
you got this.
Read it out," and they're all behind it. And then he just starts admonishing them,
tears them apart.
I love the Danny Rojas one had me like laughing so much.
He's like, "Oh, roast me, amigo, roast me,
roast me."
Yeah.
Oh my God,
harsh but fair.
And when he tells Sam, he said, "The only African I know in prison more by their own thoughts is goddamn Nelson Mandela."
Oh, you think it's funny, do you? Do you wax your pubes?
Oh wow!
What? Do you wax your pubes? Did I stutter, dickhead?
Yeah, jeez.
Joe, you might know this. Was this a reference to Mike Bassett, England manager? Because it felt like it was.
It felt like a Mike Bassett bit,
and obviously with Ricky Tomlinson being from Liverpool and it being based in Liverpool, I thought
That is a shout.
if-
I haven't seen Mike Bassett in a while, so I'll have to rewatch
I just thought, I wonder if that's kind of, because there is that scene, isn't there, where he's like just ripping the back out the entire team.
Yeah. And he does it in this kind of way as well.
Yeah. And obviously, as I say, an actor from Liverpool making that scene famous, and then them kind of like the practice speech on the last episode.
Yeah.
Could be. I say again, another great spot, man.
There's a lot of kind of little nods and winks to stuff that you don't really think about until you're talking about it. It also, Tom, if you haven't seen Mike Bassett, England manager, it's a tremendous film. Really,
if you like Ted Lasso, you'll love. Yeah.
There's a lot of it's a lot more cynical than Ted Lasso, but there's a lot of kind of stuff from the DNA of Mike Bassett, England manager, in the show for sure.
In this, yeah, for definite. But he goes around everyone, and then he goes, Roy, and everyone stops laughing.
Oh,
and Roy stands up and comes over to him, and he goes, go on. And he snatches the papers. He goes, no, say it. If you're going to say it to my face. And you can see the trail of urine running down Nate's leg at this point. Like, he's shitting his pants at this.
He is.
And we literally get, I've wrote this down. The great Roy Kent.
Love it.
You are old now and slow, and your focus drifts. And then he's like, your speed and stuff was never your superpower. Your anger was. And it's the line, you used to run like you were angry at the grass.
I love that.
You used to kick the ball like you caught it fucking your wife. But the anger doesn't come out anymore when you play. But it's still in here. And he genuinely points at him. And I'm afraid what's going to happen if you don't let it out and you keep it all for yourself.
Great line.
And it's like, whoa, Nate.
Great line.
Like, Roy Kent goes, accepts this, walks over, rips the bench out, like, off the floor.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, what does he? He's like, let's go fucking kill them.
He says, and without screaming, he says, let's go get these fuckers.
Let's go get these fuckers.
Real easy. And then bam.
And everyone's just like, and they're so psyched by property vandalism.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And they go out. We don't see the game, but they come right back. And they've won 1-0 thanks to a rare goal from Roy.
Yeah.
Roy busts that door open. Danny Rojas has got his top off because of course he had.
Of course he had.
Yeah. And they're all just, we've done it. Like, you've broke the 60-year curse of this. That's 2 curses broke in 3 episodes. Like,
ooh, yeah.
And they're just partying. Like, everyone's like, it must be a great feeling. Like,
that's the thing as well. Like, which is, it's the first time that, like, you see Rebecca come into the, like, actually interacting with the team properly. And obviously Keeley comes in and Roy's like,
I didn't know you were here.
Yeah, he's made up to see her, and he says he's been thinking about her, and then he's like, he makes a joke about the, he's like, well, you know, I've seen you on the telly in the hotel room all weekend. And she looks really, like, downtrodden by it. And then as soon as he gets up, he's like, we're all going out celebrating, and he pulls Keeley up. And she's like, it wasn't like...
Is it Sam that goes, oh, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And he goes, Keeley. She goes, well, Liverpool is famous for it. And they all know because they've all seen it. And it's just like this big, like, heartwarming cheer. And it is this big bonding thing. And we cut to them in this karaoke bar with Sam singing Wonderwall.
Yeah. Because it's like the law, there's got to be someone doing Wonderwall.
Someone is always going to do Wonderwall. Someone's always going to do Love Shack. A drunk girl is going to do My Heart Will Go On. It's just the rules of karaoke, isn't it? Like, but it's just this. It's an excellent smash cut.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, the bar scene is fantastic. They're all singing along. Danny and Zorro.
Danny's got his top off again.
Yeah, they've got their shirts off. They're singing along. Ted never is not smiling. But he's with them.
He's built this.
Yeah. You can
Oh,
see.
well
You
said.
can see though he is tense,
Yes.
and you don't know whether it's just because he's obviously in a crowded room and he's got a lot of stuff on his mind, or
Yeah.
but he's trying to like keep with the team.
Style it out.
Yeah. He's the leader at the end of the day. They're all following him, and yeah. So Rebecca goes for a cigarette, doesn't she, with Sassy? And this scene is where I thought, all right, yeah, Sassy's absolutely nailed this on here. Where
Oh yeah.
she says to Rebecca, like, Rupert locked himself away in an ivory tower, but you followed him up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I had to lie to my daughter to say there wasn't a reason why you stopped coming around and talking to her and all that. And it was just gut-wrenching.
It was
It
great.
really was.
It's a night out, though. Like, don't drop that on people on a night out.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Look, she needed to hear it.
She needed to hear it.
I know. Yeah.
Rebecca said it first, throwing blame around, whatever.
I know. No.
But Sassy tells her, always be your biggest offender, but you have to own up to your part, the part that you played.
And it's kind of like an underarching theme in the first series, like in the first season, is people being accountable for their actions.
Yes.
Like, Rupert is the only person who's never accountable for his actions.
Never.
So Rebecca has to be multiple times throughout the show. Roy is, Jamie ends up being, but he's got to earn that kind of like understanding of it. And it's just as I say, the general kind of like theme for the first series is you've got to be accountable for everything you're doing.
Yeah,
because it will come back to bite you.
Very true.
Well, I think Rebecca also says at this point, she's like, "Well, it's my first anniversary," and Sassy goes, "Why do you think I'm here?"
Yeah,
so good.
Even though like Rebecca has hurt her by sort of like just ghosting her.
She knew she would need her.
She's still her friend.
Well,
yeah.
At the end,
she didn't know she had Keeley now, but now they've got this trio of power. Like it's.
Yeah.
And also, she can relate to her. She's a divorcee herself.
Yeah.
She's going through the exact same thing that Rebecca's going through, just on a less public scale.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It is good. We cut back inside, and we've got Coach Beard singing
Keeley,
Bad Rum.
Keeley comes out and says, "What are you
doing?"
doing?"
Oh, Keeley comes out. I thought you ditched me.
She's panicking. Yeah. Keeley is. I thought. She's like upset, like they'd left her.
I didn't know I had abandonment issues until just now.
Oh, it's so good. So good. She tells her song's up next, and she's like, I didn't put in the song.
I didn't put a song down. Coach Beard is giving a belting performance of
so good.
Bad Romance.
Getting on the table and leaning over him.
He's got the wild beard eyes, and he's going from one side of the room to the... Oh, it's so good.
Beard definitely saw some drugs here.
Yes. Yes.
Technically, we don't see the coach driver at this point, but I'm assuming it is the coach driver we meet later on. Yeah.
But also, knowing what we know about Beard later on, Beard always finds drugs. It's just what he does. He probably had some tea.
But Rebecca's song comes on, and everyone sort of settles down. And like, again, this is one of those things where we see that veil that she's got, that armor drop massively to let herself be so vulnerable in front of people. There's no more embarrassing than singing in front of people. Like, even no matter how drunk they are or whatever, it takes a lot to
especially if you're on a work do.
Yeah, and especially if you're the boss as well. And she gets up there and she starts singing Let It Go from Frozen, and absolutely nails it.
Sassy and Laura as well, because Sassy's film.
Yeah.
Rebecca wanting them is fantastic, and no one in the club knows she can sing, so they're like, oh, like they're...
Yeah.
So there's two little bits I noticed with this, which were just tiny little throwaway things. I was like, oh, okay. First one, when Rebecca goes to get up, Sam takes a coat and like smiles at her. And it's like, okay, well, there's that. I'm sure nothing will come of that. And
well, no, because Sam's been to see her previously, and like they've got like a professional relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, but Sam definitely fancied her, as we...
Oh, totally. Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't, exactly. And then it shows Keeley and Roy knows all the words.
All the words.
and it's like obviously because of his niece, but it's just like it's just one of those things. It's so
because Roy is a soft old sod at heart. Like, as we find out, he is just a big old daft lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Really, at
Roy
heart.
ends up being much more layered than anyone thought he would be. I think
He's such a complex character.
He is the onion of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
But while this is happening, there's and the lyrics of the song are like it is one of those songs,
Yes.
isn't it? That is like massively sort of you could drop it into anything really. But this is when Ted's hands.
Well, the lyrics are sinking into Ted for reasons that no one else knows but Ted.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And Ted starts getting like the walled-in music and like the vision blurs and stuff, and he just gets up and leaves and like stumbles his way through, and like he ends up outside just sitting on the floor having a panic attack, a freak out. But like the music syncs up with Ted, it's okay. It's okay. And the camera refocuses in, and it's Rebecca. Like, she's talking him through it. She's talking him down. And it's one of those things where it's like, something has happened here. Like, she wouldn't have given a shit.
Well, like, and it's like, it's kind of like the mirror image of what, like, him basically talking her down from the same situation a couple of episodes previously, but also it's another step in humanizing Ted to Rebecca, because he's not just like some disposable pawn in like a revenge plot against Rupert. He's a man who's got feelings, who is like anyone else, and he deals with any like situations like anybody else. And I think that's one thing where Rebecca's just like looking at this club as something she can destroy to get back at Rupert, and then realizing that there's people that like this is people's lives she's messing with, not just Rupert's favorite toy.
And plus, do you get the sense that when he began to see her face and his vision cleared, she says you're having a panic attack, and I thought, well, she has too, obviously. Like, she's been through trauma as well, and now she sees him going through it. So you kind of get the feeling, I'll bet someone else had to talk her down, whoever that someone else was, or she just realized what was happening to her, and now she sees Ted and go, oh, well, it's a panic attack.
Yeah, and it's the first real time in the show that she shows any kind of compassion towards Ted.
Yeah, any kind of empathy at all.
Like, before, even the previous episodes when he's like spoken to her about his divorce, she doesn't really, she's like sympathetic towards him, but she's very dismissive of it. Whereas this is the first time she's like showing him any kind of compassion and like going, are you okay? Do you want me to walk you back to the hotel? Do you want to take my car? And it's, I think that's the first step for like her turning point. She's still not quite there, as we find out, but she's definitely moving in the right direction.
This scene is hugely important.
Yeah.
Because for everything you just said, it's very emotional. I got emotional when I watched it both times in the past 3 days. It's if anyone's ever had a panic attack, depending on what it's over, you can completely relate here, because it made me flashback in my own head. It's horrifying because you think you're having a heart attack. You think that you're going to pass out. You don't know what's wrong with you. You don't know what's going on. And he looks at her and says, am I going crazy? And she says, no more than anyone else. And
no more than anyone else.
And dude, when she sits beside him, puts her arm around him, oh my God, it's gut wrenching to see her do that.
Ted, just breathe. I don't think I can.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a very good representation of a panic attack.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
But it's the scene after this where all of this sort of comes into like the main, I'd say, the point of this episode, where Ted is in the hotel room
signing the papers.
He's walked back, he's signed the papers, he's sent the pictures off to Brian Lawson, however he was called.
Swanson.
Did it stick out to you, by the way he picked the pen up in his left hand and clicked? Because to me, that planted the seeds for the next episode with which hand does he uses. does he use?
It didn't.
I've
Now
never
you just said that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I've never noticed what hand he used actually, but
'Cause he makes
I'm
a
gonna have to go
show of
back
it.
and re-watch it now
He
just to double
pulls the
check he
pin
never
up.
uses.
Does this and then does instead of just picking it up. Yeah.
But it's right. This is the bit. This is the thing where I was like, it's the music. It's the music that's playing when this happens. It's the song "Strange" by Celeste. And as he signs those papers and looks at himself in the mirror, the line is, "Isn't it strange? I am still me. You are still you in the same place."
Hmm.
And I'm like, fuck me, like that's like thingy. But then the chorus of it is, and we cut to like other bit. Isn't it strange how people can change from strangers to friends, friends into lovers, and then strangers again?
Oh.
And it's like a really weird, because it's not just Ted and his missus. That it's like this is the start of like maybe not the lovers part, but it's Ted and Rebecca's journey. It's Keeley and Roy's journey. It's Rebecca's journey with the club. It's all of it can be summed up how people can change from strangers to friends.
It's really good. This is
good, isn't it? Like
there's some tentpole moments in this show where you're like, this means something, this means something. That there's so many you can't keep track of them all. In the best way, there's so many. This is definitely a huge moment.
I was watching it today and I listened to it, and then I found the piece of music and listened to it. And Celeste has got an amazing voice.
She does.
Like, she sounds like Billie Holiday and what was she called? The last that sounds like Marge Simpson. I try to say goodbye.
Macy Gray.
It's like they had a child. They had a sexy child, right?
A sexy baby.
Like that. A sexy baby. Right. But yeah, and it's just, it feels like Higgins would be into this. This is like smooth jazz.
Yeah.
Coolness. And it is just one of those bits. When he signs that bit and he just goes, I am still me and you are still you, but in the same place. And it's like, I had to like pause it a bit and go and wash my face at work because it like I care for Ted.
Yeah.
Even though I know he's not real.
Yeah.
Still real to me, damn it.
It's still real to me.
This is completely unrelated, but this idea of, why do people love TV so much? It's escapism, yes. But number two, they get emotionally attached to certain characters. So when something happens, it's huge. Like All in the Family back in the day was a massive American sitcom. It's still regarded as one of the greatest of all time. And for a sitcom for this to happen was unheard of. But there was a guy who was trying to sexually assault Edith. It's a live studio audience sitcom. And he tears at her dress. She's trying to get away from him. You can hear the audience just recoil, audibly gasp. And the actor that played this role said after the fact that he couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't go into a restaurant or a store. People took it so seriously that they would approach him wanting to fight him. I'm like, that's insane. But it made me think of that when you said it.
It is that sort of thing. I mean, again, massively off topic, but before we started recording this, I watched an episode of The American Ghosts. Ghosts, but the American version. And it's an episode where the guy who's got the arrow through his neck, I think he's called Nick in the American one, his wife comes to visit, and it turns out his wife was cheating on him. But his daughter shows up with her son, who's called Nick. And I'm welling up thinking about it now, like, because it's daft. It's a comedy show, but there's just those moments of poignancy in it that really take you by surprise. And this does this, like we said last time. It's like Still Game has those bits as well, where it can make you laugh 1 minute and then make you sob your heart out the next.
Isn't that something?
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah,
bringing it all home. Absolutely, yeah.
We cut back to the karaoke bar. Everyone's piling out. I'm assuming Danny Rojas doesn't have a top on. I didn't check.
He says, I can't find my tropical shirt. You can hear him.
Yeah. I think he had a coat on, but no shirt underneath.
He did. Yeah.
Classic. The Jamie, as that's known.
Yeah.
Yes.
Liverpool at night is very cold.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not northwest of the country. It ain't very warm.
And near a river.
And near a river.
Sassy's like, come on, we're all going to the pub. And Rebecca sort of taps out. She's like, no, I'm going home. But thank you. But Keeley's like, yeah, I think I'm done as well. And Sassy's like, all right, well, I guess I'll go off with all these young, attractive men. Bet you will.
Till the bitter end, he doesn't like her. I'm telling you.
No, like now you've sort of given me a different view of it. Like,
Yes.
I think I may be wrong, but and then also what happens at the end of this episode, I'm not a fan of.
Oh no, I don't know what happened at the end.
Yeah, Keeley and Rebecca have like a little heart to heart, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Do you want to get in the car? We'll go back. And Keeley's like, "No, I think I'm going to walk." And you look over and you just see Roy stood under a street light, like
James Dean,
like a film noir scene.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really good shot.
This is like the first kind of sign we get of Roy and Rebecca's relationship, which is something it doesn't get touched on often, but when it does, they've got such good chemistry on camera together. And it's literally like where he just nods at her and he gives a little salute and she does it back at him.
Really good.
Yeah. She goes, "No, I'll get the car home. You walk. Go on, you're wasting time."
Yeah.
And Keeley like scuttles off. And yeah, we get the little like thing like that. And it's just one of those things like it's all worked out okay. Like everyone's looked after her. Keeley's looked after her. Sassy's looked after her. The team have looked after her. But then also she's looked after Ted, who, if it wasn't for Ted, none of this would have happened.
None of it.
Yeah.
So it's like a self-fulfilling circle of just loveliness.
It is. When they get back to the hotel, it's not too awkward of a moment. She knows it's coming, but Roy kisses Keeley, and then he suddenly stops again and says goodnight and walks off.
And then Keeley goes,
yeah.
Just a good little Keeley bit of like, she's been eating Scotch eggs all day in that karaoke bar.
Yeah, it's the most like Roy thing he could have done though. Like, good night.
Good night.
It is. Rebecca in the hotel restaurant gets a text from Ted, and if this doesn't seal the deal, and it doesn't, I don't know how, the text reads, "Thank you for being so kind. Not just tonight, but through this whole adventure. It's really been something else." And you can tell by the look on her face, that's a gut punch. Because this is the same guy she's been sabotaging from day one. Brought him in because she thought he was, let's be honest,
an idiot,
a redneck, uneducated, foolish, stupid, all those things. And thought that for a long time. And now maybe doesn't feel that way anymore. There's a knock at Ted's door. And it's Sassy, who doesn't say a word, just comes on in. So off camera, where we couldn't see it, I believe that she asked where Ted was and Rebecca filled her in. And I think that's the reason she went to Ted. Number one, she's attracted to him, yes.
She went out with Beard as well, though. She could have asked Beard what Ted's room is.
Yeah, Beard would give it up because Beard's probably gangster tripping, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Beard probably thinks maybe Ted just needs a rebound.
And plus, well, that's fair. And on top of that, women, I
don't think Beard knows at this point, does he?
Yeah. Ted.
Oh, yes, he does. Of course he fucking does. Yeah.
Like the proto Diamond Dog spit.
Yeah.
A couple of episodes back.
Well, I won't say that all women can do this, have this power, but I think Sassy does, where she could tell from the second she met Ted, he's okay. First of all, he's not a threat. Number two, he seems to be a good guy. And she knows all that. So when she hears he had a panic attack, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I think that maybe is part of the other reason why she went to him and they spent the night together. That in my head, that's what I wrote anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And then Rebecca ends up with a massive donged black pepper waiter.
Yes.
From the from the restaurant before.
Yeah.
The guy that just can't keep it in his pants. And good on him, because I wouldn't be able to either. I'm just saying. Well, kids, guess what? There's episode 7.
Do you reckon that's how he explains what the pizza sizes are?
Well, this is me in the morning. You want the size of afternoon? Well,
Well, that's a child size, not like that.
Look, it was cold, all right.
oh my.
But yeah, and then I think it ends with like Rebecca looking at the waiter, doesn't it?
No, it ends with Sassy going into Ted's room.
Is it Sassy going through the door? Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 7 in the books, kids. There you go. Man, there was a lot to unpack here, and we did it. It only took 6 hours. We did it.
But I said, I think, again, I've said it before, that I think this is one of those linchpin episodes that sets up a lot of other stuff, because this is the first time we see Rebecca in a moment of weakness, and also her acceptance of Ted.
Yeah.
It's the quote back to what Sassy said about, if you like this, Rebecca, you'll love Rebecca. Joe, the way you just said that was, this is one of those moments we actually get to see Rebecca.
We get to see fun Rebecca.
We get
Silly
to
Rebecca.
see her. Yeah, the one that has a heart, for God's sake. You know,
the one that gets up in front of her employees and sings "Let It Go."
Yeah.
There's so many double, triple, quadruple meanings here.
Yeah.
One thing, what's interesting though, is that now that she's kind of like let her guard down with Ted, it almost makes it more like it almost makes it worse that she's still trying to sabotage him, because as I said before, like, she's showing compassion to Ted now. She's separating the man from the thing she wants to destroy.
But there are moments,
and there's moments where she's like, Ted's great, I love Ted, but then it's more like, now I'm still gonna destroy this club because fuck Rupert.
I think it's the next episode is one of those really polarizing moments of Rebecca's dichotomy of what she's trying to achieve and how they just don't align at all anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Because she, as we said earlier, she's going through the 7 stages of grief. So as she's trying to sabotage this team, the longer she grieves, the closer she gets to acceptance. And it's in the horizon. It's way out there. But she finally gets to acceptance. And when you can accept, then you have moved on.
Yeah.
And it takes a hell of a long time to get there, as everybody knows. But it's once you get there, you're so much better off. And she's just not there yet. So, takeaways from this episode. If you had to sum it up, Joe, what's your biggest takeaways from this?
I mean, I think I just did. This is the sort of linchpin for all the rest of it going forward. This is where we see the weaknesses. This is where we see the blossoming romances. I would say that, like, that song that plays tells you everything you need to know about this show going forward until the end of it. It is a great episode, and it's just, again, every episode of these are great, and rewatching them is and like having stuff explained to me that I didn't pick up on makes them all the more enjoyable. It really does.
Does your heart good?
Yeah, it really does.
It does. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I think I'm enjoying this so much more, dissecting it like scene by scene, than I did the first time around watching it. I loved it the first time around, but it really shows how great this show is, that we've literally spent like over an hour talking about an episode of TV that was 35 minutes. And breaking down things and just kind of like seeing, oh, well, there's this, where it goes. And this does feel like a turning point for a lot of characters in the show. And it feels like it's kind of, up until this point, they were pretty much going straight towards like a certain trajectory. And then, as I say, with like Rebecca kind of being able to humanize Ted, which is what like a lot of characters seem to like, as soon as they can humanize him, like the 3 fans in the pub in the last episode stop humanizing him. It means that they're kind of like the path to destruction they're on, they've got to veer off and turn down a different road, because they can't help but root for him. Happened with Trent. It's happening with Rebecca now. It happens with the fans eventually. Happened with Roy. It's happening with all the people who
Zorro.
All the people who are against Ted and should be against Ted. Eventually, they veer off that like path of kind of like resistance and go towards more accepting him for he's just a guy who wants to help,
just trying to do his job, trying to bring the club together. As we've said from the start, this show is not about football at all. I mean, Football's just the sport that they happen to. This show could have took place in an office setting. It could have took place in any setting in the world. Honestly, the themes are always there, no matter what culture you're from, your background, your ethnicity, your gender. It really doesn't matter. The themes of this show were life, man. You know? Oh, so good. The farther we go, the happier I am. I continue to love doing this. This is...
Oh, wait until we get to the next one.
Oh, I'm so ready for
I'm
it.
so excited for it.
I'm so ready for it. Well, there you go, kids. There's episode 7. You don't have to wait too long, but you will get episode 8 in all good time. Be patient, kids. Be patient. As you guys know, we only exist to record episodes for you. We never really sleep or anything else. We don't really have real jobs. We just do this all the time. I change my shirt occasionally so as not to stink up the place. But this is all we're doing. I need a beard trim too. You see all this? It's disgusting. I got to get it taken care of. I would say not episode 8, but maybe by 9, you'll see a different looking Tom, huh? Something to look forward to.
Don't show them how the sausage is made.
Don't peel the curtain back too much. Well, that's it for us, kids. Stay tuned for episode 8. We'll give you a friendly reminder here at the end, as you see on the banner below. Perfect timing. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 2NationsPod. We appreciate it. Tell all your friends. Do all you can to help us spread the word of the show.
Tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies, too, because you know what? They'll hate you.
Enemy's a friend you've just not been for a drink with yet.
Oh, my God. That should be a Tedism right there. That's perfect.
It's not, no, it needs more homespun wisdom in there. But yeah.
Needs some more Ted. We'll work on it. That's it for us, kids. We'll see you next time. For Joe and Jay, I'm Tom, and we'll see you next time.